Gamers of Reddit, what gaming experience will you never forget and why? When I grew up, we always had that sort of computer which wasn't all bad, but installing a game was always kind of a jeopardy. It just might not work. So back in 2005, World of Warcraft had finally gotten traction, and the news had begun reporting about the online sensation. People were discussing how big it actually were and the possibilities it offered. So at Christmas, I finally got it. I was overjoyed and couldn't wait to get home and plug it in. For those who doesn't remember, it had 5 or 6 discs, which meant 5 or 6 chances of something freaking up for my PC. As far as I remember. It took about 8 hours to install with me constantly leaping in the check on it and change CD. But then, just around dinner time, it finally finished and the old screen of the giant portal appeared. The next year or so would be completely dedicated to that game, but I'll never forget that certain kind of curiosity and wonder that WoW brought me on that first encounter. Dude. Imagine that, but it's your older brother who's purchased it and installs it on your family computer. You're only like 15 years old, and you have to sit there and watch as he starts an undead road and fumbles his way through the starting zone for 3 hours. It was another 3 days before he let me make my Tauren Shaman, and then a never-ending struggle to weasel my way into more computer time at any opportunity. Freaking hell, if I had to pick my 20 most memorable moments, at least 15 of them would be in WoW. The Pisco Mantis fight of Metal Gear Solid. Snake, plug your controller into the second controller port. Nowadays, such a thing would be considered trite or a cute gimmick at best, but for the time period when it came out, 1998, and the first time I played it, I was probably about 10 or 12 at the time. It was mind-blowing. For people who don't know what I'm talking about, in the first Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation, and later ported to GameCube, there's a boss you end up fighting called Psycho Mantis. He claims to be a true psychic and proves it to you by saying things like, "I'll make your controller move through sheer force of will," and then causing it to vibrate. He comments on other games you played, reading your memory card, makes you think he's turned off the game by doing the default input screen, and even avoids all of your attacks until an ally calls and tells you to plug your controller into the second controller port. It was amazing. For me, it was the death of the sniper lady and her backstory. I was 13 and it was an awesomely deep moment I haven't experienced, because up to then I've never played such a cinematic game with such a good story. You mean Sniper Wolf? The woman born on a battlefield in a war-torn country. The woman Audakan loved. You mean the scene where Snake returns her handkerchief by laying it on her corpse, and when Audakan asks why Snake returned it, he replies, "I don't have any more tears to shed." That scene. The first, and only, time I beat another human in a game of StarCraft Run 2 1v1, because I realized, hey, I outplayed this guy. I didn't have teammates who could carry or feed, and neither did he. I just played better than him overall, and that's why I won. It felt great to know that I beat someone because I played the game better than them on an individual level, without having to factor anybody else into the equation. I mean, who the hell scans, sees that I have a bunch of tanks sieged up on the high ground with other units supporting them, and then tries to push up the ramp anyway, and then, a few games after that, I placed in Bronze Ramen 3. When I was around 4, I was playing Mario Kart on the SNES with my older brother who was around 7 years old. I was falling behind and he refused to wait for me to catch up. I got angry and bit him. I know it's weird, but it's just stuck in my memory. That was the first and last time. I bit someone and it was over a video game. I married a man in Star Wars Galaxies, and my town threw a huge wedding celebration for us. After the gifts and speeches, we went back to his place and I stole everything he owned. In actuality, I was a 13-year-old boy posing as a lady, and my buddy was the wedding planner and convinced the town to make sure to bring gifts. He even got paid by the town. The entire thing was premeditated, and we laughed for days and days non-stop. Edit. If you check out the sidebar of r/SWG, you can go from 0 to playing in about 15 minutes. See you on Basilisk. Yeah, I tried an emu. Just felt like a ghost town. The old game was incredible. So much nostalgia. I was a doctor and made so many credits. When you had to do the grind to be a Jedi, selling buffs that I sold credits on eBay when it was allowed, and made over $3K. So many good memories. If there were an emu that was bustling and active, it might be worth it. Edit grammar. Changed was to work. Mine will always be when Rock Band / Guitar Hero were all the rage. Those games are by far my favorite gaming memories. All of my friends huddled around a TV in the basement with our plastic instruments rocking out and having a good time. There hasn't been a co-op experience like them since, and probably never will be again. I miss those games so much. The quest in Fallout New Vegas, where you have to find out who killed Boone's wife, amongst the friendly townspeople. It was the perfect marriage of gameplay, well-written dialogue, killer pacing, top-notch characterization, gut-wrenching decision-making, all with a demon dark tone. This showed me the potential video games had in telling interactive stories with dire consequences, and this particular moment stood out amongst so many others in this incredible game. The quest I really liked was the Lonesome Road DLC. It was controversial, but it was a beautiful ending to the main story to do just before the Battle of Hoover Dam. I love hot speech and characters, so I was ecstatic when it paid off in allowing Ulysses to live. Even if he did try to get me killed, he was just too righteous to not allow to live. Modern Warfare 2 was my introduction into online games. I had to beg my grandparents to get Wi-Fi for the house so I could play with my friends. One school night, it's like 3 in the morning and I'm playing Search and Destroy with my friends. We get put into a lobby with a whole clan and they start talking ungodly amounts of shit. Here I am in my undies, middle of the night, and yelling all kinds of back at them. I just remember us winning and us rubbing it in the noses while we watch as they all leave the lobby one by one. I have hundreds of these moments, but there is one game that goes sadly unrecognized in our gaming landscape: Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. If you have not played this game, you should. If you get it on PC, make sure you have a controller you can play on. I believe it's required. Anyway, the premise is simple. A father lay dying due to some ailment, and 2 brothers, one old, one young, go on an adventure to get him the rare item he needs to recover. On the way, they encounter a world full of danger and wonder. The moment I want to talk about is, at the end of the game, after all of the dangers they have overcome together, the older brother gets wounded by a creature. He troopers along, but after the younger brother climbs to the top of the tree to get the medicine, he comes back down, and his brother has died from his wounds. I teared up. Even worse is that the game makes you dig his grave, drag his body to the hole, drop it in, and bury him. When his brother is dragging the body over, he has to stop and take breaths because he's crying so hard. I was crying with him, believe me. Also in that game, at the very end, you get to an impassable river. You see, the little brother never learned how to swim. The older brother carried him across every body of water in the game up until the end of his life. To get past this creative puzzle, you have to use the same button that the older brother would have used to cross it, and it empowers the little brother to get past it, as his brother inspires his courage from even beyond the grave. I got chills deep down to my soul when I played that part. Side note, this game is such a great and emotional journey until the very end. I immediately called my brother up to tell him I love him, because it just felt right to do so. He then played through the game, and did the same a few days later. What a powerful experience. Please play this game, everyone. Please. Edit. Thanks for the Reddit gold, stranger. See, this wonderful game has brought us all together.